to my channel. We are doing our 12 days of Christmas, and I'm going to do some tags. We'll do tags and cards throughout this series, but today's video is tags. So I have these two tags. I cut these from colored cardstock. This is the unicorn from Paper Studio. That's the teal color, and then the white is just Paper Studio white plain cardstock. I used the third largest frame from this honeybee set to die cut out these images, or die cut out these shapes. I just thought this was an interesting and unique shape for a tag. So I'm also using this set from Spellbinders. I apologize, I don't know what particular die this is, but it is a poinsettia die I've had in my stash for quite some time. But any poinsettia die would work. Even a stamp that you have that you can die cut out or fussy cut out would work also. You just may not want to mass produce it. So I felt like the leaf for this particular die set was just too large for this tag, and so I took the third largest poinsettia shape itself, and I'm going to actually use that and cut it apart as my leaves. So don't be afraid to take to adapt your dies to what you need. So I felt like the leaf was too large, so I'm just going to adapt the images that are already in there. So never be afraid to kind of adapt and overcome, I guess you could say. So I have some Canson XL watercolor paper here, and I'm going to use my Distress Oxide Sprays. I'm going to use Twisted Citron and KITSCH Flamingo and Picked Raspberry today. I showed you KITSCH Flamingo and Picked Raspberry, or KITSCH Flamingo and Twisted Citron, and I do end up bringing in the Picked Raspberry as well. I just felt like I wanted some other colors to create these poinsettias. I am a big fan of non-traditional colors for Christmas. I am not a huge fan of the traditional red and green. I know that there are those that is their jam and will forever and always be their jam, but I like to kind of change things up a little bit during the holidays and have some non-traditional. So how I get away with that is I choose like pink, which is a variation of a red, I guess, and this kind of limey green, which is a variation of that kind of true like Christmas green. And all I'm doing is spraying this watercolor cardstock with these sprays. This was a really quick way. Here I'm bringing in the Picked Raspberry. I just wanted some other color variations in here. This is what I'm going to use to die cut out my images. You could have used colored cardstock. You could have used a gel print. You could use pattern paper. You could stencil on it. You could ink blend. You could have done it out of alcohol inks, whatever you wanted. But I chose to do kind of a quick and dirty coloring, and I'm going to use these sprays today. I do heat set in between. I'm just trying to kind of get some variation and some interest and texture on these. So after I heat set them, I did go through and I had a lot of ink left on my mat. And so I decided to kind of spritz my mat with just clean, clear water. And then I'm just going to ink smush or pounce my paper into the remaining ink that's on here. And then I will go back and I'll actually heat set this also. And I'm going to do that for all of these pieces of paper until I feel like I've got enough texture and color on there and am pleased with how it looks. So I'll do that not only with the pink, but I will also do that with the Twisted Citron. You could have brought in a darker green, and I almost did that, but I really wanted to kind of keep to this aqua, pink, and like limey green color combination. But you could do this in whatever color combination you wanted. You could do this in the traditional colors if you so desire. I just wanted to kind of do a different color combination. So after I was done heat setting those, I did just sprinkle some clean, clear water over the top of this and then pat it dry. Just to kind of let it sop up. This Distress Oxide Spray is reactive with water, obviously, and so if you sprinkle water on there and let it sit for a minute, it'll almost kind of bleach out the ink in some spots. And I just, again, wanted lots of interest and texture on here, so that's what I chose to do. And then I did go back and heat set those. Before I die cut, I made sure that my paper was very, very dry so that I didn't run the risk of tearing. And then I'm going to go through and die cut all of these out. I tried to die cut as much of this paper as I could. And initially I was going to do one layer of the bigger die cut for the poinsettia and then one layer for the smaller, but I felt like I needed some more layers and I had plenty of that pink left over. So I do end up using liquid glue just in the very center, and I'm going to layer one of the smaller ones and I'm going to offset it just so that it looks fuller. And then I'm going to offset that smaller and the second smaller pink one again, just to make sure that it looks fuller. If this was going to be a tag that you hand delivered with, attached to a package, you can zhuzh it, to, quote Miss Laura Basson. You could zhuzh it and kind of fluff the petals up a little bit so that it looks fuller and has a lot of dimension. But this is probably going to be something that I'm actually putting in my craft fair. And so it's going to be in a package, and all of the zhuzhing would be wasted because it would flatten. So that's kind of an option that you could do, but how I'm going to try to sell these, it just wouldn't be worth it, but that is an option. So I'm going to glue a white and a teal label together, and this just gives me a clear, just kind of a more sturdy tag and a cleaner finish on the back. And so I'm going to go through and attach a teal and a white together, and then I'm going to figure out a sentiment. So I roughly laid out, a design that I felt good with, poinsettia wise. This may not be and is not the final layout, but it gives me an idea on where this will go and where I can put my sentiment. So my sentiment is going to come from this Lawn Fawn Tiny Tag Sentiments. I have had this in my stash forever, y'all. I've had it forever. And it actually came with a die. So these were meant to be used with like a little tiny die shapes. But it is perfect for these tags this year. So I chose the Merry Wishes, and I'm going to stamp that in some Lumberjack Plaid Distress Oxide ink. I wanted to bring in a pop of red. I thought that would be really pretty and not be so much that I'm distracting from the color palette that I chose, but I feel like it accents it very well and complements it very well. So I'm going to stamp this out. I end up stamping it out 3 times. It stamps out fine the first time. This teal cardstock is kind of textured on this particular side, and I liked that texture for the tag itself, but it does lend to the need to maybe stamp a couple of times. I could have gotten away with twice, but I think I ended up stamping 3 and was really pleased with how it looked at 3. My ink pad did not need to be re-inked or anything. I just liked how it looked with 3 stampings as opposed to 1 or 2. So I'm going to go through and stamp this Merry Wishes on all of these tags. And then I flipped each tag over, and in that little tiny tags sentiments, there is a to and from. One of them says to, and then it has, for the from, it has a heart. I chose to go with the from today. I could have stamped, like, there are individual to and from images, but I kind of liked this one today. It just was a lot faster. And so particularly when you're mass producing, steps like this, where one stamp is already put together, really helps kind of speed the process along. These tags really did not take very long to put together, which is very, very helpful. So once I was done stamping all of these out, I did take my We Are Memory Keepers hole punch here and punch a hole in all of these tags at one time. This hole punch is pretty fantastic, and I was able to punch a hole through all 12 layers of this cardstock at one time. Now that everything is punched, I'm going to glue all of my flowers on there together, and how I feel. I'm just going to arrange them individually. I kind of used this first one as to give me a starting off point, but I am going to go through and kind of glue all of these flowers down in a similar arrangement. Is it exact? No. For the poinsettia petals that I used as leaves, I end up cutting those apart. I do like a group of 2, so I cut off 2 petals together, and then I used maybe 1 or 2 separate ones. I just kind of cut those apart how I felt looked good on each individual tag. Like I said, this would be a good one to kind of mass produce. If you were going to use pattern paper or gel prints or backgrounds that you already had, alcohol ink backgrounds that you already had, this could go by very, very quickly. The most time consuming part is your die cutting. But if you have a Cricut or something like that, you could, cut out these poinsettia shapes using your Cricut and make it go by even quicker. So this is not something that would take you an enormous amount to mass produce. Here I am using some press and seal just to kind of arrange these and glue these down the first time. But as I got going, I was like, this is just taking extra time. It's not saving me any time. So I end up going through and just kind of individually gluing all of these together and skipping the press and seal. Here I have a mini mister that I have put Perfect Pearl powder in, and I shook it up really good, and then I'm going to spray this shimmer powder over each of these tags. And I'm spraying from about 2 feet up, maybe about a foot, between a foot and 2 feet up. And this just gives it a really pretty like sparkle and shine. I thought about doing ink splatter. I thought about doing black ink splatter. I thought about doing Perfect Pearl splatter, but I chose to just do like my Perfect Pearls in this little mini mister. And the only thing, you could do the Tim Holtz mica sprays that are out. That would be beautiful. I just wanted to give these a little extra shine. I went into my stash, and from Blingee Thingy on Etsy, I found these pearls. Some of them are pink, some of them are red, some of them are like a magenta. And I just put one of these pearls in the center of each of these flowers. I thought that was a really good finishing touch. You could do Nouveau drops. You could do like a white pearl. You could color in your white pearls with your alcohol markers if you have those. I just chose to do it this way. I thought this was a really nice finishing touch and helped play off of some of the red that I added to these tags. I just thought it was a really nice finishing touch. The final step is to add our twine. So I have some Dollar Tree sheer ribbon here in red, again playing off the red of our sentiment and some of our pearls. And I just cut about 9 or so inches of that ribbon off. I folded it in half and took the looped end through the front of the tag and looped that through, tied it off. And then I'm going to take a small piece of Hobby Lobby baker's twine in white, and I'm going to tie a little bow at the base of this knot, and that will finish off these tags. You could do whatever color ribbon matches your project. I just thought that this was a really nice finishing touch. I do end up, because this is a sheer ribbon, and I really don't want these ends to fray, although that is a look that you could absolutely go for. I just didn't want that look for these tags. I am going to take a lighter and kind of heat set these ends of these ribbons so that they don't fray. But that is a step that you could obviously forego. You could use a different ribbon that doesn't fray, or if that is a look that you're going for, by all means, lean into that and go for it. But I decided to heat set these ends. And then that is the tag complete. So I'm going to try to hold this up to the camera, let you see the kind of sparkle and shine a little bit. But that is the tag complete. So thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope you will follow and the rest of this Christmas series, and we will see you next time. Bye.